Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I haven't done a chatty video in a while, and I saw Twintorials, who I'm so glad to see back posting again, did a video about their limited edition palettes, and I was like, sounds fun and also sad. And then also sorry if you can hear my roommate's TV show. She's cooking in the kitchen right now. You know, we have to coexist. Anyway, as I was gathering the palettes that I have, I realized how much of my collection is comprised of limited edition palettes because scarcity marketing works on me so well. Limited edition anything works on me so well, and I don't have a fear of missing out in real life, but my makeup FOMO is large and in charge. And also I don't have any regrets. If anything, this makes me be like, wow, I wish I had bought the limited edition thing that I decided not to buy, even though for whatever reason, if I decided not to buy it, I'm sure would have been for a valid reason, aka just saving money. But maybe this wasn't a productive experience for me because I'm like, so the moral of this story is I should just always buy limited edition things. Anyway, that's really not the moral of the story. Okay, so I've stacked everything in front of me, so I have literally no room to move around. So let's just start with Odin's Eye because it's right in front of me. So, okay, we'll start from like the palettes that make sense to me in the order. Okay, so the first limited edition palettes that I ever bought from Odin's Eye, and honestly most of my Odin's Eye palettes are limited edition because they're mostly collab palettes, but the Legendary Diversa original palettes, which I'm so glad I bought them. They are such beautiful, beautiful palettes. This is the Giant Wolves palette in collaboration with Annette's Makeup Corner. The Hummingbird palette in collaboration with the Fancy Face Tina. I love this palette so much. I've actually hit pan in this shade Clear Blue right here. And the Red Dragon palette in collaboration with Judy, which is the most beautiful warm tone to neutral palette. I love this one. I love all of them, honestly. They're all so beautiful. I will forget these if I don't take them down right now. As well, these I think they're limited edition. They might still be available. I'm not sure. They were when I last went on the Odin's Eye website. Again, please excuse my washing machine. There's so many sounds happening in today's video. Holy shit. Anyway, this is the part 2 of the Legendary Diversa, or part 3 technically, I guess. I'm not entirely sure. The Legendary Diversa palette. So this is the Sea Talk palette in collaboration with Lauren Make Beauty, which is, I love the packaging of these. Odin's Eye packaging is just beyond. Then the Flora Story palette in collaboration with Makeup Just for Fun. And then the Planet Spirit palette in collaboration with Batty Bean or Betty Jean. Love those as well. Not my favorite from Odin's Eye in terms of formula, but I love all 3 of the creators that were collaborated on this collection, and I love the color stories. As well, the Hella palette in collaboration with Angelica Nyqvist is such a really beautiful like spring pink and green palette. I really like that a lot. And then I actually probably will have already posted the video, but the 2 Christmas palettes that came out last year, then they relaunched or re-released them this year, which thank God they did because it was like incredibly fast how fast they sold out last year. This is the Merry Christmas palette, and I played with them again, and I just love the color stories of these. I'm not as big a fan of the ones that they released this year, but I probably, if they're still available in a little bit, I'll probably end up buying them. And then the Christmas Eve palette, which is again such a beautiful color story. Kaleidos, which unfortunately is a brand that I never thought I would say this about, but I feel like they're kind of falling off a little bit, especially with their most recent collection that was full of just like the palest blush shades to ever exist. Anyway, the infamous, famous well-loved Club Nebula palette. It's a classic, and for good reason. I mean, still this color story stands, it's like stands on its own in my collection of all the palettes. I reach for this also like all of the time. It's such a beautiful, beautiful palette. And then these, I wasn't sure if they were like, technically they weren't limited edition, but they are discontinued. So I'll include them. Which is still a shame. I still wish, I don't know. I still just wish they had these. I get it, I guess, but I also don't really get why they discontinued these. This is the Futurism 1 Sci-Fi Green. I mean, a classic color story. This is the Futurism 2 Cyber Bronze, which I still use and reach for all of the time. I love this like warm toned neutral color story. And then the Futurism 3 Sci-Fi Pink. Again, gorgeous, beautiful. I love them so much. And then also this, I believe, was limited edition, perhaps. This is the Futurism 5 Electro Turquoise. I don't have the neon one. That sold out before I could buy it. But again, really love that color story. Yeah, so those are the Kaleidos palettes. What else? Oh, Lunar Beauty. The only two palettes from Lunar Beauty I have are the two Moonspell palettes. This is the original, and I mean, still a beautiful color story. I still really, really love this palette. Formula-wise, Lunar Beauty isn't necessarily my favorite, but I do still really like it, and there's no way. I mean, I couldn't not have a palette that looks like this. And the Moonspell Volume 2 palette, which I actually like so much more color story-wise compared to the Volume 1, just because these are my tones, pink and purple and red. I will always love, I will never be sick of them, and I love this palette so much and have created so many beautiful looks with it, and I hope they will release a Volume 3, and I will 100% buy it. Also, these, I don't know if they were always going to be limited edition, but I know that they are discontinuing them at least. This is the Sydney Grace and Temptalia collection palettes. I love these. I have the deep version in all of them. This is the Quintessence. I think this especially is such a unique color story. I love using them. I love the looks I created using them. This is the Radiant Reflection palette. Beautiful. I love this gloss over shade so much. And then the On the Horizon palette, a beautiful neutral. I love these palettes a lot. I'm really, really glad to have them. And if Sydney Grace wasn't as expensive as they were and also as difficult to get in Canada as they were, I would definitely order more from them, because their matte formula in particular is beautiful. Also Melt. I have a lot of limited edition palettes from Melt. I really want to buy the Nightmare Before Christmas palettes that they released this year, and the Billy Sarian palettes, but they're so expensive that I might wait for them to go on sale if they do. I don't know, but then the thing is, like, I get FOMO. But the thing about Melt now, I think, is that they're so expensive, and I love their mattes, but I feel like their shimmers just don't compare to other mainstream and other indie brands. So I feel like they're just too expensive at this point, and we're not seeing their collections sell out like they used to. Like, for example, Vida and Muerte. Like my most prized possessions. I'm so glad that they brought Muerte back. This is another palette that I reach for constantly. I can't emphasize enough how much I reach for that palette. Vida as well, I really, really love it. I love both of these equally. I feel like Vida doesn't get enough love, didn't get as much hype as Muerte, and I think that it is also gorgeous and beautiful. This makes me sad that I don't have the other one, but this is one that sold out so fast. The Beetlejuice collection, although I'm glad that this is the one I have. This is the Waiting Room palette, and I love this color story so much. I know that some people say it's not worth the hype, but personally, I do think it's worth the hype. I loved all the looks I created with this palette. Black and gray and red is like everything to me as a color story. I love Beetlejuice and I love this palette, so there you go. And I love Melt's formula as well. And then also the Amor y Mariposas palette, which I also really, really love, and I'm so happy to have this in my collection as well. I just love the deep mattes that Melt brings, and the packaging on this is stunning. I also have the four like Bad Zodiac palettes. I bought these on sale, like they were on sale and then a discount on Sephora. This is the water palette, and again, I really like the color stories of these. I feel like Zodiac has been very overdone in makeup, but for the price I paid for these, I don't mind. And again, just Melt Deep Mattes, I just love using them. So this is the Earth palette. I love this color story. It's giving very ABH subculture, even though I do have ABH subculture. The Air, just like a nice pinky purple color story, and Fire, which is probably the most been here, done that of the color stories, but I love it. So I will always love a red orange color story. I will not lie to you. This is a one-off kind of random from Natasha Denona, the Metropolis. I would put gold in here as well because I have gold, but I don't know if it's even technically discontinued. Didn't they bring it back? I'm not entirely sure. But Metropolis is, I think, gone. Or at least it was supposed to be limited edition. And this is another one that I'm so happy to have. I personally, we all know, like Natasha Denona, don't feel like it's worth the hype or the price. However, I do have a good amount of Natasha Denona palettes in my collection, but I've never bought one full price. I contemplated buying from their Black Friday sale, but honestly I didn't really buy anything for Black Friday this year because I'm trying to save money. But anyway, I do really like Natasha Denona's formula. I do really like the Metropolis palette. Pat McGrath holiday palettes. Do I regret? The thing is, I love Pat McGrath, and I know so many people do not agree with me. I feel like I haven't been as into them recently, but I really like the Mothership palettes, the two that I have, I like cherish and love, and I do really believe that like there is something particularly special specifically about the Mothership palettes from Pat McGrath. These I do really like, but I don't feel like they bring the same like je ne sais quoi that the formulas in the Mothership palettes do. This is the Celestial Divinity palette. I have so many good memories using this. This is my first ever Pat McGrath product, and I still absolutely adore this palette. I think it's gorgeous. I think it's so beautiful. And then this is the Mothership Mega Celestial Nirvana. Oh no! How did this break? What the hell? This mat broke. I don't even know how this happened. It popped out. Okay, I'm kind of smushing it back in. Wow, I've only used this palette once and this is happening. That is shitty. Anyway, that is unfortunate that this mat, can I hold it up without it falling out? I wonder if it's because this palette got a little bit smushed. Anyway, this is the Celestial Nirvana. I do really like this as well. I love the fact that it's colorful. I haven't given it enough playtime though. I will be the first to admit, but I love it, and I also love the packaging. I love the bright orange with the pink. And yeah, no, I regret not buying the like other Mothership Mega palettes so then I can have all three of them. Yes, and this is why I have a problem, because I love to collect stuff. Anyway, but I'm still really, really grateful to have both of those in my collection as well. This is a random one, but wow, what a time this was. I remember so vividly buying this palette, the Pure and Raw Beauty Christie palette. So this is the neutral side. I've gotten a lot of use out of this palette, and then the colorful side as well. This was quite expensive to get to me in Canada, but I don't regret it. I really enjoyed using this palette. I had a lot of fun with it. I still continue to reach for it on occasion, and I love Raw Beauty Kristi so much. These I'm not sure if they're still available, but I know for a fact that this packaging that they're in is not available. This is the Halloween collection from 2 years ago or a year ago from Unearthly. I know that they brought at least these 2 palettes back, which funnily enough are the ones that I have, in different packaging. So this is the Weirdos palette, which I think is such a beautiful color story. I have been using both of these recently, and I really have been enjoying them. I will not lie. Some of the shimmers do crease on me, because they are quite emollient sometimes, but I do think that I've created some really beautiful looks with them. And then this is the Warms My Blood palette, which is this really nice, like, some of the shades have leaked. I did have some issues with some of my shades coming smashed or dried out, but they did end up replacing them. And yeah, this is like a nice neutral palette. The shade Charms is so unique and so beautiful, and there's a ton of different textures, and they're really sparkly shimmers, and the mattes are nice. They're just still quite expensive, and I don't know, I just haven't ended up buying anything else from Unearthly, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. The brand has sent me some stuff, I think in response to the less than, like, it wasn't overly negative, but it wasn't overly positive necessarily video, and then they sent me PR. But I'm never going to complain about a brand sending me PR. Anyway, I haven't bought anything else from them, but the things that they sent me I did really enjoy, which were not eyeshadow. Next we have Beauty Bay, which honestly most of my Beauty Bay palettes are limited edition, so I'm gonna just quickly go through them. I think I got like some of these for like $2. The like little Disney color palettes. This is the Dumbo one. Oh, I still have the sleeves on them. This is the Dumbo one. This is the Jungle Book one. The Alice in Wonderland, one of the Alice in Wonderlands. This is one of them with the Mad Hatter. The Bambi one. And then the other Alice in Wonderland one. I also have 2 of their 8 pans. So this is the Techna Days palette, which I do also really enjoy. And then the Utopia palette, which I think I reach for this palette actually a lot for kind of like the lighter shades. And then we have some of their 20 pan palettes. This is the Dark Fantasy, which I believe came out like around the holidays or winter last year, which I love. New Mood as well, which I think was criminally underrated. I love this palette a lot. Love Notes, which was for Valentine's Day. I don't have the new Love or something palette from last year, and I'm sad about that. I will not lie. So this is the Love Notes. The shimmers in here are really beautiful. Age of Opulence, which is just still remains such a stunning color story. So beautiful. The Wilderness palette, what a throwback, and still such a beautiful color story. I have pan in this shade, the shade Fossil, which is a shimmer. So beautiful. I love this palette so much still. And then 2 of the OG Book of Magic. Wow, I haven't used this palette in a really long time, but still when I look at the color story, it's so pretty. And then Sunset Horizons, which I also really love. Oh my gosh, I also have pan in this shade, in this palette, which is the shade Deep. So a lot of my Beauty Bay palettes are very well loved. I also have the Nikki Tutorials palette, which I filmed, I think, a first impressions on. I haven't ended up filming a 3 looks on it, but I'm very behind on my 3 looks videos. But I got this on a deep discount as well. And then the Jade palette, which is large, but I still love her. And I have no regrets over it. And then we're coming to the end. Oh, also, now this is in my collection, which my beautiful friend Catriona sent me, the New Romantic palette, which came out around the same time as the Sunset Horizons and Book of Magic. And I always lamented about the fact that this was the one palette that I didn't have from Beauty Bay, and now I do, and it's gorgeous, and I cannot wait to use it. It's so, so pretty, and again, my tones, I love. And now there is one palette that's missing, but I guess it's fine. I guess it's fine. I will live somehow. Now I have some ColourPop palettes, again, because ColourPop, like, discontinues so many things, most of the palettes that I have from them are discontinued. So anyway, this is the Cabana Club palette, which is really nice. I actually really, really like this story from ColourPop, Color Story from ColourPop. The Lush Life palette, which again is such a beautiful color story. I haven't bought from ColourPop in honestly so long. What a throwback. The Dream Street palette in collaboration with Kathleen Lights. Oh my god, this is so old. This is like, feels like a piece of makeup history, to be honest. I just remember loving that palette so much. The Zodiac palette, which isn't my favorite really at all, but hey, it is what it is. The Yes Please palette, which is just everything. I haven't used this palette in so long. I don't even want to think about how old this is. And then the Good Sport palette, which I wish they would do like a Good Sport 2.0 or something, because it's such a good color story and I love this palette. I bring this with me when I travel a lot. And then the Limoncello palette, which I brought with me to Italy when I went last year, and I still think that this is such a nice, like, yellowy neutral color story with a pop of blue. And I love the packaging. It reminds me of Italy, and yeah, I'm really happy to have that as well. And then a palette that I've sung the praises of so many times, the Colored Rain Power palette. I love this palette. I love this palette so much. I will never stop talking about how much I love this palette. I love the duochromes. I love the mattes. I love the color story. I love everything about it, and I feel like they should bring it back because I just love it so much, and I really, really love Colored Rain's formula. As well, I have the Glaminatrix Nocturnal palette. I'm so happy that I finally have my hands on this, and then subsequently it was never coming back, but I knew that I would be so sad if I didn't have it, and I love this so much. It made me want to try more Glaminatrix, but again, their palettes are just expensive, so I haven't bought from them again. Okay, hello. It is, in fact, a new day because my camera stopped recording partway through filming this and I didn't realize it. But if you're wondering, this look I filmed using the Cosmic Brushes Serenity palette. I did a first impression, so that's this look, and it will be coming, probably already will have been up before this video. Anyway, so I'm not 100% sure where I left off, so I'm just going to continue on. Two ABH palettes. This is the Jackie Aina palette, which honestly, when I was talking about this yesterday to an off camera, I was talking about how much this still slaps as a color story. Like, the tones of neutral in here are delicious, and the pops of color are colors that I just love, like the purples and the pinks. There's a red shimmer. It's like everything to me. I want to do, maybe I'll do like a revival or something, like Get Ready With Me or whatever, using this palette again, using like the pinks and the purples and this red, because that's gorgeous and I love this palette. Still, I think it still slaps in 2023. As well, the Riviera palette from ABH, which I still also really like. Honestly, I really like the shimmers. I think there's a lot of unique shimmer tones in here, and I like it. I know a lot of people didn't like this, but I am a fan still, honestly. This palette I forgot to include with the previous Kaleidos palettes, but this is the Flower Punk. What a time. I feel like we all just obsessed over this palette. This was such a huge release, really back in like Kaleidos' heyday when they were like at their peak. Unfortunately, I think I talked about this already, but I feel like they've kind of fallen off a little bit, which is really sad, but still such a beautiful palette, beautiful shimmers, beautiful mattes. Not a standalone palette for me, and also it just makes me like happy because when this palette released, not that I'm not happy now, but I was like so happy. I was at such a happy point in my life. Like I was so happy. So it's kind of like bittersweet because it was like reminded me of a really happy time. That's no longer, we've moved on. Life is different now. But yeah, I was like so happy. This like palette brings back really good memories. Anyway, another random one that I'm just going to breeze through. This was an impulse buy for me like a long time ago. The e.l.f. Electric Mood palette. I actually think this is a decent drugstore palette. Doesn't matter, you can't get it anymore. I actually have pan in one of these shades, the shade Browning, the matte brown in here. Because I did like not a series, or like in my regular life I like did a project to use every single shade because I wasn't getting a ton of use out of it, and honestly I liked a lot of the looks that I was able to make. I think there are some really pretty shimmers in here, but overall not one that I would buy again. And then two palettes that are so incredibly sad that they are being discontinued / were limited edition, although I don't think either of these were ever intended to be limited edition. They kind of just got discontinued. But anyway, the Blend Bunny Surge palette, which is what I was wearing actually these two palettes in the first part of my video, but I love this palette so much, and I can actually see myself going through like a lot of these shades, so a large part of me wants to buy a backup, but I don't know. I just really hope that she'll be able to figure out how to produce neons again and like do a Surge 2.0 or something, or like a Surge revival, or who knows, but I really love this palette. I actually have pan in this shade, the shade Flash. So for all the eyeshadow I have a lot of pan, okay? Like I use my shit. Anyway, and then the Primal palette, which I love. The mattes in here I got a ton of use out of, honestly, especially this indigo row. I reach for this all the time. A lot of people said that this was repetitive compared to what she already had, but I disagree. Not that it matters anyway, but I honestly reach for this palette all the time, and it honestly breaks my heart that it's discontinued out. So that also makes me want to buy all of Blend Bunny's new launches. I really want to buy the Machina palette, Machina? Not sure. And the Sickly Sweet, which was released a while ago. I just never bought it, but yeah. Blend Bunny, if you want to put me on your PR list, I would definitely not say no. Anyway, these are all of my discontinued / limited edition palettes. I guess we'll laugh and cry together collectively. I didn't include any of like the old palettes like Urban Decay, like 1, 2, and 3 Naked palettes, because we don't need to look at the Naked palettes again, but I just thought it would be fun and interesting. And let me know if there are any palettes that I don't have that you have that are limited edition that you like are super glad that you have, or if you have any of these and you're really glad you have them, or if you bought a palette because it was limited edition and you regret it now in hindsight. I would also love to know. Thank you so much for watching, and I would love to see you in my next video. Bye!